As we were walking through campus, heading away from my youngest son's dorm room, my wife Amanda was trying to hold back tears. We had just finished moving him in, and Amanda was sniffling, along with our neighbor Katie, whose son was roommates with ours. "I can't believe our boys are all grown up already," Katie sighed, pulling a napkin out of her purse. My wife Amanda grabbed one of the napkins. "Yeah, it's hard to believe," Amanda said, wiping her eyes. "Now they have to make so many decisions on their own." I was also thinking about my own big decision that I needed to make. Man, I had doubts as we were walking to the parking lot. Should I just go for it? I've been planning this for like 10 years now. Is the timing right? Is this even necessary? Amanda tried to hold my hand, but I avoided it by pretending to look for my car keys in my pocket. We were still pretty far from my SUV when our neighbor Katie gave me a weird look. "It's fine, Mark," Amanda said. "I understand how you're feeling." If only she knew, I thought, reminiscing about the past and the moment that started it all. "Yo, remember when me and Amanda just hit our 10th anniversary and it was an election year? Those scammers were trying to convince us that the other side was even worse crooks and liars. I was thinking, when those corrupt politicians kick the bucket, do they get buried in a hole or just screwed straight into the ground?" Later on, I checked the mail after lunch and was stoked to see a padded envelope mixed in with all the junk and bills. Turns out I won a bunch of SD cards on eBay, but the delivery was hella late. So I cracked open the soft envelope So I turned around and was freaked out to see another tiny potbelly manila envelope crap. I muttered as I opened the letter enclosed, "I hope I didn't go broke on this bet, this will ruin my whole day." Not only was my day ruined today, but it's gonna mess up many future days too. "Hey Amanda, I hope this letter finds you well and happy. I recently came to terms with my alcohol addiction with the help of my higher power and sponsor. I'm working my way through the program and have been clean and sober for 90 days now. As part of the 12-step program, I've made a list. I've hurt a lot of people and I'm trying to make things right with them. In your case, I really want to try and fix things directly, but I don't know how. Only now that I'm sober do I realize how much I regret what I did. I don't want to hurt you or cause any drama in your life. I feel like a coward, but all I can do is ask for your forgiveness. If you want, I promise I'll never contact you again. You can do whatever you want with the stuff I have, I don't have the guts to get rid of it. Man, I just can't help but want to hold on to these memories with warm feelings, even though I know I should resist the temptation." "What the hell," I muttered as I opened the ripped paperback envelope and saw that it was addressed to my wife, Amanda. "Josh regrets what actions?" The only Josh I knew was a neighbor who moved away ages ago. Josh was just a loser who lived in his parents' basement and was always drunk. He claimed to be in the photography business, but who knows if that was true. Josh was like 10 years ago. Older than me and Amanda, we used to call him Slinky. He was a total goofball, but always made us laugh, especially when he tripped down the stairs. I remembered hearing that after his parents died, Josh had to leave the house because he couldn't afford the property taxes or something like that. My mind was racing so much that I didn't even realize I was still holding onto the small manila envelope. Tossing the padded envelope and letter aside, I opened up the thick manila envelope and a bunch of big photos spilled out. So, the first few pics I saw of Amanda were from 10 years ago, and she was looking all sultry in a tight top and shorts. The outfit seemed kinda familiar. I checked the back of the pics but couldn't find a date. I went into my home office and picked up a framed photo from the family pics on my desk. It was a pic of Amanda and our first kid when he was just a baby. Amanda gave me that pic for Christmas. And guess what? She was wearing the same outfit in that pic too. The lighting in the picture of my oldest kid was almost identical to the one I got in the mail today. When I flipped the photo over, I saw it was from 9 years ago. Now I have a date to match the photos. I was going through a bunch of pictures when I noticed a series where Amanda went from half-dressed to completely naked. Her clothes must have shrunk or something. My blood pressure started rising when I saw the last set of photos. Amanda was in different positions, clearly having sex. I had to sit down at my desk because I felt like I was gonna pass out, like all the blood had rushed out of me. Man, I can't stop thinking about how long Amanda's been cheating on me. I said it out loud as I looked at the pictures of my family on the table, trying to see if Josh's imprint was there. The whole set showed the progression of my family: Amanda on our wedding day, Amanda with my oldest son as a baby, Amanda with both boys as they grew up. But, except for the first one, all the photos had logos from different photo stores. Then, a terrible thought hit me: what if the boys aren't even mine? I found this recent pic of my wife and the kids decked out in their baseball gear for summer league. As I looked at them, I couldn't help but feel that classic dad sense of pride. But then, I started to really study them. Both boys definitely take after their mom, Amanda, but they've got my build and jawline. I sat back in my chair, feeling worn out. And then it hit me: I needed to find that medical form the boys had filled out. Hey, so this season for baseball, I had to fill out a ton of paperwork. Back in my day, it was just about emergency contacts in case of an accident. But now, it's like 6 pages long. They want to know about food allergies, insurance info, waivers, medications, and consent. Like, seriously. The treaty to end World War II could fit on 1 page, but my kid's baseball form is a novel. Took me forever to find the info I needed, like blood types from our doctor. It's ridiculous. So I was digging through my wallet and found my Red Cross blood donor card. The card said I'm Group O, just like Amanda. We always joked about being able to donate blood for each other. Then I checked my oldest son's questionnaire and saw he's also Group O, which was a huge relief. I went through my younger son's profile to see his blood type, and it was right there in bold black letters: a positive. Even a high school biology student could tell you that 2 people with different blood types can't donate to each other. Type O blood can't have babies with type A blood. I never thought my world could fall apart twice in 1 hour, but it did. I looked at the words on the paper saying A is positive for what felt like forever, hoping they would magically switch, but they didn't. Crazy thoughts raced through my mind: should I kill Amanda? No, I should just leave her. Actually, I'll kill you first and then leave. Or maybe I'll just take the boys and go without Amanda. The boys were 9 and 11 years old. I was sure that if they were asked who they wanted to live with after the divorce, I was debating whether to pick my dad or not, but I wondered if I even had a choice. These mind games went on for like an hour and totally drained me. I couldn't figure anything out, just ended up with more questions. I was so tired that I had to push myself to climb the stairs and crash into bed. The next day, I sat at the kitchen table and watched my wife do something at the sink. When they got back from the movies last night, I asked if we could skip dinner. After a restless night, I felt weird. Man, everything in the house was chill, almost like nothing had changed. Amanda hadn't switched up overnight, but it felt like someone had pulled back the curtain on all her tricks. I wasn't impressed anymore, questioning every move and motive of hers. I asked her, "Hey Amanda, remember Josh?" I couldn't see her face, but I could tell her body tensed up before she replied, "Josh, our old neighbor Josh. Wow, I haven't heard that name in like forever. I was just thinking about him and his photography stuff, always hustling. Snapping pics of the neighbor kids. Do you think he was some kind of creep or what?" Amanda said, looking relieved. She grinned as she continued, "Trust me, Mark, Josh wasn't into little kids." "How do you know that, Amanda?" I asked, feeling hesitant. Amanda wiped her hands on a dish rag before calling the boys over for breakfast. "Well, quite often in the morning, I'd see a hungover Josh trying to sneak some girls out of their basement before their parents found out." "You seem to know Josh pretty well, Amanda," I commented. "Do you miss him?" "Well, no, not really," Amanda replied. "Man, when Katie moved in with us, things really started to look up. Our kids are practically joined at the hip now. Our awesome neighbor ended up taking over the mortgage on our house after Josh's bank foreclosed on our old apartment. Turns out, Katie, who's a single mom, used the life insurance money from her cop husband's death to buy Josh's place. Our kids are the same age and became fast friends, always hanging out together. Since Katie was working crazy hours as a single mom, we pretty much adopted her kids too. It was no big deal having 2 extra kids around. All right, so we packed the kids into the car for a baseball game or a trip to the beach. It was a challenge to get all 4 of them ready, but they kept each other busy. Amanda used to joke with Katie that we should claim her kids as dependents on our taxes. Katie, being a single mom, couldn't even drive a nail into a snowdrift. So Amanda sent me over as her stand-in husband for an hour. I may not be ready for a home renovation TV show like This Old House, but I can handle basic stuff. My dad was a pro at fixing things, but his go-to line was always, if it can't be fixed with a hammer, it's not worth fixing. So, there's this issue with the electricity at Katie's place. I didn't really mind helping out with some chores around her house, she's pretty chill. But Katie never really gave me any hints about it, and I didn't show any interest in her. My dad always taught us to keep our word, so I stuck to my promise. Then Amanda came over and jokingly tapped me on the shoulder, saying, "Mark, don't tell me you're jealous of me for Josh after all these years. The thief's head is on fire." "Do I have a reason to be jealous, Amanda?" She then sat down at the table but didn't look my way. Instead of staring at her coffee, she said, "Of course not." She said Josh was just a harmless drunk who always took pictures of everything. She reckoned he could have been a great photographer if he wasn't always drinking. I sat back in my chair and kept quiet. Amanda glanced up from her coffee mug and carried on, "Come on, Mark, we were just getting started. You were working 2 jobs and going to school, and I was stuck at home all day with the kid. After 10 hours of Barney and changing diapers, I was dying for some adult conversation. Everyone around was working, but Josh was just chilling. I still haven't said anything, and now Amanda looks pissed. Oh my God, Mark, do you really think I hooked up with some middle-aged drunk in between taking care of the baby?" "Relax, I just put down my coffee cup." "Amanda, you're acting way too dramatic. The best offense is a good offense, don't you have anything to say to me?" Amanda just glared at me and stormed off from the table. We were interrupted by the boys loudly coming into the kitchen. I quietly got up from the table as well. I walked up the stairs and just said screw reconciliation. I knew I could get over being mad at Amanda, but I'd never trust her again. "Are you sure about this, Mark?" my brother Eric asked the next day as we sat in his office going through photos, letters, and papers. Eric was my half-brother from another mother. His parents escaped Eastern Europe during the Cold War and lived near us when I was a kid. Their tragic accident happened when we were both just 6 years old. The social worker asked my parents to look after Eric for a few days while they tried to find other family members or foster parents. Eric's case got lost in the system, and the social workers never came back for him. So, Eric ended up staying with us. At the time, I didn't know any better and just thought of Eric's presence as a long sleepover. Looking back, I now understand that it was a financial strain on our working-class family. Years later, I asked my mom about it. She handled it. My mom just shrugged it off, sliced the bread thinner, added more water to the soup. My dad never turned away those in need. Even though he was religious, he believed that faith was shown through actions, not just words or following organized religions. He always ended our dinner prayers with a "next time, let there be more at the table, not less, and a Lord protect us from your followers." Dad never treated Eric any differently than he treated me and my brothers, which, considering his temper, was saying something. I asked my dad why he took on another mouth to feed when he was already struggling, and he just shrugged and said that's what a man does. Eric was really light-skinned, almost like Snow White because of his Eastern European heritage. I was much darker because of my Southern Italian heritage, so when we said we were brothers, it confused people. One day at a father-son event, someone commented that my mom must have had a. Dad said he's got a really pale complexion, almost see-through. Eric did really well in law school, graduated at the top of his class, and got recruited by a famous law firm. He worked his ass off, putting in over 80 hours a week, but eventually made partner. He had all the fancy stuff like a fancy car, a city view apartment, and a hot wife from a rich family who always tagged along to fancy events. But then one day, Eric stormed into his mentor's office. A senior partner came out of the blue to tell him he landed a big client, but Eric got a shock when he walked into the office and saw his wife looking less than presentable. Despite the drama, Eric stuck around until the end of the year to get his bonuses and perks before making his exit. He ended up taking top lawyers and big clients with him, causing his old firm to never fully recover, eventually going bankrupt a few years later. Now, Eric runs a small legal practice focusing on contracts and wills. Why I know, that guy made most of his money as a hitman, doing shady stuff as a lawyer in big lawsuits. He's married with 2 kids now, but we are still tight. Eric was going through my papers in the folder and I was like, dude, you okay? Take a breather and get yourself together. I sarcastically asked him how he pulled it off, and he just joked back saying not everyone can be a hero like me at my old law firm. Man, someone should just sit on the side of the road and clap when we drive by. But then Mark got all serious and said, listen, your wife Amanda is a human being. Most people struggle to see beyond themselves. We only think about how we are being treated and don't think about how our actions affect others. Are you trying to be Yoda now, Eric? I just rolled my eyes. I'm done. My revenge will be making sure she doesn't get a dime from this cheating and everyone will know what she did. I don't want Amanda thinking she can cheat on me and blame it on hormonal amnesia. If I'm just a dumbass, fine Mark, but you gotta understand that getting revenge is a guaranteed way to show someone they've got you. Letting someone know they can break you gives them a lot of power, so don't give them that kind of control. It's better to just ignore the emotional abuser. I know it won't feel satisfying right away, but in the end, it's the smart move. Trust me, I've been there myself. Eric said as he started typing on his computer. I may not specialize in family law, but my friend from back in the day. This dude is a total shark, he's ruthless. Are you sure you want to deal with him? His name's Eric. A week later, we were in this fancy office downtown with Mr. Bigshot, who had just finished going through all the paperwork I brought: tax returns, payroll, mortgage payments, paternity tests, wills, you name it. The list of what he needed seemed never-ending. Mr. Bigshot took off his glasses and said, forget about it. I was shocked to hear those words coming from the mouth of an overweight lawyer who was supposed to be a tough guy. Hey Mark, I know you and Eric are tight, so I'll just say it straight, forget about it. It took me a sec to gather my thoughts. So, do I have to pretend like nothing happened and just smile, knowing I was fooled? Mr. Bigshot leaned back in his chair and said, yeah, unless you've got video proof of your wife Amanda giving your kids Red Bull as babies and making them fight for cash. He pointed his finger at me. Right now, you've got a nice wife, a house, and 2 good kids. But if you put in a little more effort, you could be. So, you're basically stuck in a tiny apartment with no cash, the kids are doing odd jobs, and your wife might start hanging out with new guys. And on top of that, you gotta fork over more than half of what you make to cover child support and alimony. I was shook when Amanda said she's working now. And why am I paying for a kid that ain't even mine? Mr. Bigshot seemed surprised. Mark, I'll keep taking your dough if you want to keep this going, but let's get real about the situation. Your wife's measly earnings at some low-end hair salon don't hold a candle to what you bring in, so you're definitely on the hook for alimony. The only thing we're debating is, so, like, how much money and for how freaking long do I gotta pay for child support for a kid that ain't even mine? Apparently only 6 states in the US let dudes off the hook for paying child support for a kid that ain't theirs and was born while they were married. Unfortunately, we don't live in any of those states. But like, what if I find out that Amanda knew all along that this kid ain't mine? Is this some kind of scam? Mr. Bigshot leaned in, resting his arms on the table, and said, I'm gonna spill a dirty little secret. What if we could? Yo, if your wife knew the kid wasn't yours and still tried to pass it off as yours, that's some shady stuff. But get this, that kind of fraud is actually legal, no punishment, no compensation. Crazy, right? Even if you've been divorced and paying alimony for years, she could straight up tell everyone in the New York Times that you're not the father, and she knew it the whole time. And get this, there's no law in any of the 50 states that says she has to pay you back or face any consequences. Wild, man. So there's this guy in Florida who's being forced to pay alimony to some woman he's not even married to. This dumbass finally did a DNA test and found out the kid ain't even his, but the court still made him keep paying child support because they said it's what's best for the child. This whole mess is dragging through the courts now, and the kid will be 18 by the time it's all sorted out. And even if he wins, the poor guy will never see a dime of that money back. I cut in and asked, can I at least try to get my cheating ex to cough up the cash? Bro, in most states, only the mom can get that cash from her boyfriend. Only 2 states let guys try to get their money back, but you gotta show that both the mom and her man knew about the lie. Plus, you gotta prove that it really messed up the kid and fam's life. And guess what? Our state ain't one of those with that law. I just sat back and listened as he kept talking. Think about it, is a dude's ego worth more than half his stuff? Getting money for alimony and child support won't make him feel better about himself or fix his reputation. Wouldn't it be best to just end it all and try to find someone who actually values him, instead of staying in a fake marriage? Eric suggested talking to a marriage counselor, but Mr. Bigshot just brushed it off, saying that counseling only works in less than 10% of cases. In my experience, it just gives spouses more time to plan their escape. Did you know that 2 out of 3 women who go to therapy end up filing for divorce? And more than half of women who cheat end up leaving their marriage. Custody laws vary by state, but we are not in one of those easygoing states. It's pretty much winner takes all here, and the mom usually has the upper hand. How old are you? 35. Well, hate to break it to you, but most women cheat on their husbands around age 45. And if your wife has already cheated, she's probably hitting the big 40 soon. Chances of her having a relapse are pretty high, unfortunately almost certain. The pain and guilt from the past affair have faded, but the memories of what made it so thrilling and good will only get stronger. It's like a high school athlete scoring the game-winning shot but getting injured in the process. Your mind downplays or forgets the pain, but at the same time blows up the important moment way out of proportion. The urge to relive that moment can become an obsession, but at the same time, it's like older athletes can only live vicariously through their kids' sports games. Spouses might cheat to feel young again. Eric, read my mind, once a cheater, always a cheater. Mr. Bigshot shrugged. Nothing's for sure except cheating comes right after money as the reason for divorce. I won't let that happen to me, I said through gritted teeth. Mark, you can have as much as you want, Mr. Big said, swearing. Divorce is a compromise between running away and fighting. I muttered, isn't it better to just stay with her? Mr. Big asked, sounding all wise and shit. Having affairs outside of marriage is a problem that 68% of married folks deal with. Once you have kids, everything changes. Kids whose parents divorce are more likely to do drugs, sleep around, and struggle with feeling sad and mad. The only thing true about divorce is that nobody really wins. But the ones who lose the most are always the kids. Hey kids, I just remembered the time I told my old man that we were gonna have a baby. Mark, my father, said something that stuck with me. He said, a lot of guys become dads, but not all of them become real men. To be a man and a father, your kids should always come first. If you're short on food, you go hungry. If you don't have a roof over your head, you tough it out in the cold. And if money's tight, you make do without. The key is being strong, always, for the sake of your family. I ain't talking about some blow-up display that falls apart when things get rough. You gotta show strength and be able to ask for help when you need it. You won't know how strong you are until you have no other choice. You'll mess up a lot, but that's normal for a real man. Your hard work probably won't get recognized and people might make fun of you. But a real man doesn't do it for the praise, he does it for the sake of it. He sacrificed his family for his kids because he's a real man. I practically fell out of my chair and shook Mr. Bigshot's hand, thanking him for his time. I definitely learned a lot about law, but I don't think I'll be needing his services right now. How much do I owe you for helping me out? Mr. Big grinned and leaned in to shake my hand, saying there's no fee, just a chat between old lawyer buddies. He then turned to my brother Eric, saying he owes me a big favor. Getting myself out of a tough situation at my old job was a real struggle, but things are finally looking up for me now and I owe it all to him. You can always hit me up anytime, my door is always open for you. Seriously, we were riding back in Eric's car when I asked him, why didn't you quit right away after catching your fiancée with your boss? Why did you stick around at that company for almost a year? I could see Eric's jaw clench before he answered. My initial reaction was to bail right then and there. He smirked a little and added, well, actually. My initial thought was to headbutt that old man after I dragged him away from that Eric. I paused to change the radio station after leaving him lying on the floor. I went to my office and printed out my resignation letter. Why didn't you turn it in? I was pissed off, then I felt sorry for myself. Then I remembered our dad always talked about not feeling sorry for yourself. I decided I shouldn't let those two take away what I worked hard for. The next day, for the first time ever, Yo, so the main dude partner came to talk to me cause he was all stressed about this dumb misunderstanding between me and my old mentor. Like, seriously, it's just cause I had some solid connections with important people and this fool was trippin' about me bouncin' and takin' all the clients and billable hours with me. He tried to sweet talk me with some promises, but I made him write it all down so he couldn't back out. After that, I started doing my own thing and didn't let anyone mess with my happiness. I kept it low-key for a while cause, let's be real, we both weren't innocent in this situation. We were never really together once I found someone better. She became history right away. Same with the law firm once my contract ended, it was history too. I took my brother's advice to heart and started doing things that made me happy, following my father's belief that kids come first. Amanda meant nothing to me anymore, and I was set on avoiding her as much as possible. Things got better a week after meeting with the big shot Mr. Mark. I have some amazing news for Amanda. Hey guys, so at dinner tonight, they told me that the salon wants to promote me to a full-time manager. I'll have to work nights and weekends, but I'm sure you and the boys can handle cooking for yourselves for a while. It actually worked out well because I left for work before Amanda even woke up, and by the time I got home, she was already in charge at the salon. By the time she closed up, I was already passed out asleep. On her days off, I told Amanda I was playing darts, but really I had a few sessions with a therapist. By myself, I figured out that I wasn't any more spoiled than anyone else. But more importantly, I realized that besides taking care of my kids, I also had to make sure I was happy. Whatever Amanda did, does, or will do was out of my hands. We are constantly faced with temptations and it's up to us to resist them. When I stopped trusting Amanda, my feelings for her changed. Eventually, I stopped caring about what she did and started feeling hatred towards her. Her actions lost their original spark, but the negative vibes stuck around. I do it all for my kids, no questions asked. Amanda started to become more like the girl next door, but with some perks. She was so focused on her work that I don't think she even realized it. Meanwhile, the boys and I were having a blast. I took out a big old loan against my house, built a pool, a deck, and transformed our basement into the ultimate man cave. I ditched my boring car and splurged on a huge SUV with terrible gas mileage for me, the boys, and Katie's kiddos. I was ballin' with those season tickets to all the games, so I ended up becoming the chauffeur for the kids' team. We could all fit in that damn SUV with all the gear. Every time we won or lost, we hit up the pizza joint or ice cream shop, courtesy of yours truly. Katie usually rolled with us and folks would think we were one big happy family. I joked that we were, and Katie would get confused looks. Amanda was always making excuses about work or being too tired. Wanting to chill on her day off, the boys eventually stopped bugging her. A few years later, my oldest boy and Katie's firstborn got into the same college. I covered the extra costs for my son, but Katie never knew. Then, 3 years later, the same thing happened with our youngest kid. And now I'm stuck deciding whether to stay or leave, or keep things as they are. Amanda was just sitting on our deck, soaking up the last days of summer, looking out at the pool with a drink in hand. So there I was, with my wine in hand, coming back from tidying up the mess left from our trip. I plopped down on the couch across from Amanda, who closed her eyes. "Mark, now that the boys are gone, the house feels so empty," she said, taking another sip of wine. "But who cares, I'm ready for a change." I had already made up my mind and thought to myself, just wait, Amanda, big changes are coming. I tossed the papers on the table between us and said, "Amanda, I don't think we should be together anymore. I want a divorce." Amanda rose from. She sat down in her chair and grabbed the papers, quickly scanning them. "What kind of nonsense is this, Mark?" "Amanda, this is just a copy of the divorce petition. As soon as you find a lawyer, I will ask mine to send him the official papers. As you can see, I'm being fair." "The savings, are you crazy, Amanda?" Almost screamed. "After 2 decades, you're leaving me now? After everything we've been through?" She continued looking through the papers. "No alimony, where's the savings section? Total household debt. What are you trying to do?" I tried to be. "Chill, we both make about the same and have similar amounts in our retirement accounts." This was true because I didn't take any salary increases from my recent raises and kept my 401k contributions low after using it to pay for my son's college. Amanda looked shocked as she scrolled through the petition. We only make the same salary because I work twice as many hours as you. I'm not selling my house, I put too much work into it. Amanda, we are in this together. After you figured out the mortgage to buy the house, where do you think the money came from for that fancy porch and your new kitchen? She slammed the papers on the table, saying we are not getting divorced and that's that. Suddenly, it was like a light bulb went off in her head. You're a son of AB*TCH, Amanda hissed, pointing her finger at me. Find someone else. I gave you the best years of my life and now you want to leave me for some young girl. Her face turned red. How long have you been cheating on me, you're a pig? Please, let's not even get into this. It doesn't matter why. We live in a no-fault state, so everything, assets and debts, will be split evenly. But Amanda wasn't having it. You're wrong, mister. It does matter. I want to know, and I deserve to know, who you cheated on me with. I shook my head and said quietly, yes, there were some slip-ups, but let's not dwell on it. It's probably best if we just move on. My vision went blurry for a second as Amanda chucked her glass of wine in my face. As I got up to go to the kitchen, a wine glass hit my back and smashed on the veranda floor. Amanda was pissed and kept yelling at me as I washed my face in the kitchen sink. She was like, you're a son of AB*TCH. I'm not getting kicked out because you're fooling around with some girl. No wonder our sex life has sucked lately. Well, let me tell you something, pal. I've had chances in the past, but I never. Amanda froze as I turned and placed photos of her and Josh on the counter. Look at all these POS photos on the kitchen table, each one more scandalous than the last. Amanda's face went pale and she hurried to the sink. I quickly shuffled the photos into a stack and sat down at the table. Well, Amanda, it seems like you've really made the most of your chances in the past. She rinsed her mouth with tap water, splashed some on her face, dried off with a towel, and sat across from me, saying please. Mark, just take it. Amanda shoved the pile of photos at me like it was a freaking snake. I stuffed the pics into an envelope and chucked them in the dresser drawer behind me. Amanda buried her face in her hands, saying, oh my God, I don't know what to say. I was exhausted. It's fine, Amanda, I don't care. But she grabbed my hand, pleading, Mark, please listen. It was just once, you have to believe me. No, Amanda, I shouldn't believe you and I don't. I leaned back in my chair. Yeah, so how come you never told me you were cheating on me? Amanda gripped my hand tighter. It feels like ages ago. I had no idea being a mom would be this tough. I couldn't sleep because of the baby, and you were always exhausted from work. I felt like I was losing myself, just becoming another mom or your wife. I pulled my hand away. I worked 2 jobs and went to college, all for our family. So I don't want to hear you complain about being tired, Mark. Please, I want to go back. Back in the day, Josh was just a fun drunk. Sometimes Josh's mom would pop in for a bit to check on the baby, giving me a break to hang out with the adults for a bit and keep my sanity. I tried to chat with Amanda, but she didn't give a damn and just kept ignoring me. Josh always had a drink in his hand, and eventually I would take a sip or two. He was always snapping photos of me with a fancy camera, like we were in some kind of big modeling shoot. Josh was always on it. Everyone was hyping me up, saying how good I looked, how effortless I looked, how the camera just loved me. Amanda was biting her lip, checking me out. It started off as just some harmless fun, but things escalated quickly. She kept adjusting my top to show off my shoulder or lift it up a bit to show my belly button. Before I knew it, I was so comfortable that I ended up in just my bra. It wasn't a big deal, people show more skin at the beach anyways. But then I noticed Amanda had tears in her eyes one day when I mentioned wanting a Christmas photo. Josh offered to take it for free. Everything went awesome, the photo came out amazing right after our son passed out on the couch in Josh's basement studio, his parents' basement. Amanda wiped a tear from her eye, thinking he'd be out for a while and didn't want to disturb him. So Josh and I had a drink, which turned into a whole bottle. With your hectic schedule, we haven't had sex in forever. I was getting really turned on when Josh started snapping pictures of me and my wild side came out. He made me feel so good. Damn, I was feeling so sexy and naughty winking at him, and he was totally into it like we were in a legit photo shoot. I thought I couldn't be more shocked after seeing the photos, but damn, did you really have sex with that drunk guy while my son was right there sleeping just a few feet away? I started stuttering. Oh my God, Mark, I'm so embarrassed, I don't know what got into me. I was so. Amanda paused, she dropped her head on the table and started to cry. Amanda, we can't change the past, we just have to own up to our actions. Please sign the papers. We are gonna tell people that we've gone our separate ways, but nobody outside our immediate circle will know anything. Amanda wiped away her tears and said, it doesn't have to be like this, Mark. It happened so long ago, it was just a small hiccup, a dumb mistake with no real impact. I pulled out more papers from the folder and laid them out in front of her. Amanda, every action has consequences, some more than others. What's this? Amanda asked. Yo, Amanda, check out these results from our family's DNA test and blood type. It looks like one of them ain't good for us. Amanda freaked out, clutching her chest and starting to choke. I got up and grabbed a paper bag from the kitchen. Breathe into this bag, Amanda, I said, handing it to her. You're hyperventilating, so just calm down and take some natural breaths through your nose. After a minute, Amanda's breathing went back to normal and I sat back down. As she sat at the kitchen table, she set down the paper bag and her face started to regain its color. Amanda, you knew it was a statement, not a question, all along. Amanda started shaking her head while twirling the paper bag in her hands. I had a feeling, but I just hoped I prayed, but I was never really sure, she stopped mid-sentence. Amanda, come on, I convinced you. You graduated college with honors in biology, if I recall correctly. You must have thought I was a fool when I believed all that nonsense about preterm birth when the baby was born. Man, I shook my head early on. Can you blame me for not trusting your words? You cheated and made me raise another dude's kid. It wasn't like that, Mark. After Josh and I was so embarrassed. I didn't want anyone near me, not even you. I promised myself I'd be the best mom and wife ever. When I found out I was pregnant, I freaked out. I had nightmares about you kicking me out, taking our son, making me get an abortion. Amanda, when we were together, did I ever? Someone threatened you and made you do things you didn't want to do. You know how much I care about family and how I was brought up. I had to stop and rub my temples. If you had just come to me, we could have sorted things out. But instead, you chose to lie. It wasn't just one lie, Mark, it was multiple lies. Every day, you chose to live a lie. Amanda begged me, saying she had no choice. But you always had a choice, Amanda. You could have come to me at any time. But you chose to keep lying. I don't even know how many other lies there are now. It's my turn to. Come on, please choose, Amanda pleaded. Don't rat me out to the boys, Amanda. Lying time is over. Kids who grow up with secrets and lies can't trust anything they are told and end up feeling insecure and needy. When the family falls apart, there might not be any honest relationships to rely on. The kids feel abandoned. So, either you tell them, or I will. Oh my God, Amanda said, what am I supposed to tell them? Boys, your mom is a deceitful, ungrateful liar who cheated on your dad. Now, I had to laugh. Amanda, you can skip the deceitful, ungrateful part. Hey, what do you think about telling the boys that their mom messed up, but they are still our sons and we still love them just the same? The boys seem to handle it pretty well, especially since all their friends have step-parents, 2 moms, 2 dads, or blended families. It wasn't a big deal for them. Amanda was a bit upset about it though, kept saying we could figure things out and that not enjoying the house we worked so hard on was a waste of time. But Man, I'm so over it all and just want to move on. Can you believe that dealing with the house was more of a headache than the divorce? Mega Bank really screwed us over when we tried to give it back to them. They shut down all our plans for short sales and we couldn't get a straight answer from anyone there. And don't even get me started on the ridiculous amount of paperwork. I swear, we've probably killed half the trees in Washington with all our requests. Thank goodness my brother Eric stepped up and helped out. So, like, one of his mates who's a total pro at real estate and law helped us out for a few months. He totally showed that mega bank broke their own rules and a bunch of state and federal laws meant to help homeowners struggling with their upside-down mortgages. It's pretty crazy, but mega bank ended up owing us money after they didn't even bother showing up to court after we sent them 4 certified letters. We ended up getting the house for free, plus they had to cover all the court fees and lawyer costs. The bank had to pay for everything when our lawyer and 2 sheriffs showed up at the mega bank branch with a court order and a moving company to take their stuff. They ignored our lawyer's warnings and the local media and bystanders all got involved. The bank manager was freaking out trying to get help from higher-ups while we were busy dismantling their lights. So my dude had to use his own cell phone cause his work phone got snatched when word got out about David taking down Goliath. Our lawyer and I were like low-key famous for a bit. I ain't complainin', but the extra room in the house helped smooth things out in our divorce settlement. Amanda wasn't trying to sell the house yet, so after some back and forth, she agreed to split the rent with me and cover utilities. We are going halfsies on insurance and taxes and we'll split any cash from future sales. We are gonna split the bill evenly. So, after my divorce, I did the typical middle-aged man thing and got myself a crappy apartment for a little while to figure out my life. Of course, I joined the gym to try and get back in shape, even though I hate going. And there I was, standing at the front desk, about to have a free session with a personal trainer when I heard Mark. Oh crap. I turned around and saw my old neighbor Katie. She looked amazing, dressed in a tight leotard with the gym's name on it. Holy shit, she hugged me so tight everywhere. Katie, you look amazing, I said as she let go of me. What are you doing here? I work here, Mark. Well, kinda. Katie glanced down at the clipboard she had with her. Looks like I'm your personal trainer tonight. Which machine do you want to start with? How about we trade? I suggested. I'll buy you a chocolate of your choice. Katie laughed and pulled me towards a bunch of machines that looked like they belonged in a medieval torture chamber. I didn't see that coming. Man, I tried out one of those gym machines that reminded me of my old PE classes in school. I didn't want to look like a wimp, but after 90 minutes, I puked twice. Trying to act tough, I made up some excuse about drinking too much coffee at work to explain my sudden bathroom break. The scales must have been in metric because pounds don't usually feel that heavy. Katie felt sorry for me and agreed to meet me at a cafe after I hobbled to the locker room. She looked so fresh and glowing, holding onto my arm as we waited in line at a local cafe. I felt like a zombie from The Walking Dead, Katie. When did coffee get so complicated? I said after she gave the guy taking our order what sounded like a recipe for a science experiment. I mean, there's only small, medium, and large, right? Katie laughed, her voice high and musical as always. Just tell the barista what you want, Mark, and he'll whip you up something. Barista, oh my god, I shook my head in disbelief. All right, just give me something a manly man could drink at a football game without feeling like a wimp. Katie gave me a pat on the shoulder and said, Mark, I really missed you. Damn, Katie, you just miss having someone who fixes stuff at your house for free, I replied. Katie blew on her coffee before swearing, well, that too. I feel sorry for you and Amanda, she said as she took a sip of her drink. It's hard to believe that woman cheated on you. I had to close my mouth to keep from choking on my coffee. What? Who? How? How do you know? She asked. Katie looked at me for a second, then lowered her cup and said, nobody told me. I've known you and Amanda for a while now. She's been acting sketchy for a while now. Can't prove anything, just got a feeling in my gut. Amanda, being a cop's wife, always had that I hope I don't get caught vibe. She's always thinking about what she got away with. When I asked her about it, she just shrugged. And then Katie, she shrugged too when I asked if Amanda told her anything. Nope, she never spilled the beans. Would it make a difference if she did? Nah, not really. It's not just about betrayal, it's also about all the lies and mistrust. I just can't believe it. I have about as much of a chance of trusting Amanda as a blind man with a microscope. Without trust, what's the point? The marriage is done. I tried to make light of the situation and got Katie to laugh by talking about our little showdown and the weird way the house is divided between me and Amanda. I was actually having a good time and time flew by while we were both having a blast. But then Katie checked her watch and said, "Sorry Mark, but I gotta go. Last bus is leaving soon." "Don't worry, Katie, I'll give you a ride." "Hey, can you give me a ride home? My car won't start because of a bad starter. Work has cut my hours so money's tight, I'll have to wait until my next paycheck to get it towed and fixed." "Oh man, I just checked the time, Katie, why didn't you call me earlier? I'll grab a starter and install it in your car, let's go to the auto parts store before it closes." "That would be awesome. Mark, for the past month, I've had to leave home 3 hours earlier just to catch all the buses. So, the closest bus stop is a 30-minute walk away." Katie hesitated for a moment and then said, "I don't have any money right now." I brushed it off and told her not to worry about it. "You need a car. We can figure out how to pay off the debt later when you're back on your feet. Plus, all my tools and stuff are still in Amanda's garage. I haven't had a chance to move them yet." I stood up and reached out my hand to her, saying, "Come on, beautiful lady, the Prius hybrid chariot is waiting for you." Katie looked confused and asked, "Hybrid Prius? What happened to that huge, manly monster of a car? That SUV of yours really guzzles gas. I'm sick of constantly stopping at gas stations. I feel like my carbon footprint is destroying rainforests every day. People keep giving me dirty looks, like I'm some kind of environmental terrorist." Katie was shocked when she heard me say that. She couldn't believe I would even consider driving a hybrid. I can feel my manliness slipping away when I have to cram myself into that tiny plastic car. "You know how it is for us guys, we like big things." She laughed as I opened the car door for her. Luckily, the auto shop had a starter that worked. I fixed Katie's car and luckily it was on sale. Amanda wasn't home, but I still had the code to the garage door. So, with the right tools, an hour and a half later, I got Katie's car running. Katie was really happy and she gave me a big hug and kiss on the lips. I didn't hug her back because I had greasy tools in my hands. While washing my hands, I noticed that the water tap wasn't fully opening and the sink was draining slowly. I pointed it out to Katie and asked her why she didn't call me. "Hey Mark, I could handle that for you. I knew you and Amanda were dealing with bigger issues, so I didn't want to bother you over something small. But when the job cut started, I couldn't afford to ignore it." She turned away, but I could see tears in her eyes. "I'm not looking for charity, I just want to help a neighbor out." I put my arm around her and reassured her that this isn't charity, just one neighbor helping another. "I have a lot of free time right now, and it seems like you could use some help. How about we make a list and check it like Kris Kringle? Hey, can you do me a favor and grab me a pen and paper? Pretty please, Katie." Katie wiped her eyes and gave a weak smile as she turned to me. "Sure thing, Santa. But if you're too nice, I might just take advantage and be shameless for the next 2 weeks. I find myself spending a lot of time at Katie's house lately, fixing up little things like the screen door and rusty hinges. Her house just needed some TLC, nothing major. I haven't seen her shameless side yet, but I enjoy our time together. It's been a good evening." After a few drinks, Kia started talking about her first husband. He was a great guy, always helping others. He died when a drunk driver hit him, even though he wasn't even working at the time. He had stopped on his way home from the gym to help a woman with a flat tire. The damn drunk didn't even bother to slow down. She took another sip of her drink, but he was a fighter. He held on for 4 days. You know what he said to me last? I said nothing, and he told me Mark's last words weren't about himself, but about the family. Tears were now flowing down her face. He said, "Take care. Look after our boys, take care of them and yourself." I went over to hug her as she kept talking. I never imagined things would turn out like this since he was off duty. We didn't get any survivor benefits, but his small life insurance policy helped us buy this house. Cops look out for each other, and his squad was always there to lend a hand. But I had to move because as great as they were, it just kept bringing back memories of his death. I just never thought it would be this tough. I let myself cry, there were no words to say what would come next. So this morning, I was under the bathroom sink, trying to fix the drain, when I felt someone tap on my leg. It was Mark. He asked, "Where did you go last night?" I replied, "Back to my crappy little apartment." As I was taking off the drain trap, he pointed out that I looked exhausted and that's why he put me to bed before leaving. I reached out from under the sink and showed him the clogged trap, saying, "Damn, look at all this hair. Did you wash a whole mongoose down the sink?" Suddenly, the front door slammed and I heard footsteps, followed by a loud voice asking, "Where is he? What are you doing with my—" Yo, my man was hitting my forehead and yanking me out from under the sink. I peeked out and saw Amanda's legs in the bathroom doorway. Amanda was telling Katie to back off. I jumped up and found myself in the middle of a surprised Katie and a pissed-off Amanda. I asked Amanda what she was doing there, trying to calm things down. Amanda looked away from Katie and turned to me, saying, "Damn it, Mark, I know what's up. Every night you leave that woman's house with your clothes all messed up, looking like you've been plowing fields all night. I know what you've been up to." Amanda stopped and it looked like she was trying to chill out. "I get that you're trying to get back at me, but you already had your fun with this. It's time for us to be together again." I was so surprised I could barely talk. "Amanda, we can't be together again. That ship has sailed a long time ago. Plus, Katie and I have something special." I felt Katie hug me from behind before she said, "That's right, Amanda. There's nothing between us. But you know what? Everything is about to change. My late husband, God rest his soul. Someone told me to look after myself, so I'm gonna take care of myself starting right now by taking your ex-husband upstairs, Amanda." We were both shocked when Katie came up behind me and grabbed Amanda's hand, leading her out the front door. "Just pretend you don't know us for a bit, we'll be occupied with that." Katie shut the door behind the speechless Amanda and then came back to me. I finally found my voice and told Katie that was something else, thanking her for having my back and boosting my confidence, even though it wasn't needed. Katie was standing right in front of me and she took off her blouse. She wasn't wearing a bra and let me tell you, for her age, Katie's boobs were something else. I had to force myself to look away from those two beauties and look into Katie's eyes. I was getting ready to say something when I asked her, "Are you sure you want this?" Katie then wrapped her arms around my neck and said, "Mark, I've known you longer than my husband. I loved him like no other and I kept my promise to him to take care of our boys. But now, she's planning to fulfill her other promise to him. Make sure you look after yourself," she said, taking my hand and leading me upstairs to the bedroom. I couldn't tell who was more nervous. I didn't want to mess things up, and Katie hadn't been with a man in almost 20 years. But just like riding a bike, we managed to keep our balance and find the right speed. The conversation in bed got interesting when Katie said, "Mark, you're moving in with me." It wasn't a question, it was a statement. Wait, that's a bold move. Aren't you worried it's all just a waste? Katie held her ground. She propped herself up on one arm, showing off those amazing boobs. "Mark, we've been friends forever." She raised her hand to cut me off, saying we are too old for games. "It's a win-win situation. You need a place to live and I have extra space. I care about you, you care about me. We both have needs. Why should you pay rent to some random landlord? You can save that money towards your own mortgage. Plus, you know this house better than anyone else, even Katie wouldn't know it like you do. This is so weird." I pointed over there to my old place where Amanda used to live. Katie just shrugged and said, "It's not my problem. I don't care what others think, I only care about what you think. Your old place is still under your name. It's a big investment, and what's better than seeing it every day?" That's what we did. Things were weird for a while. Amanda was still bitter about everything. She couldn't move on. "Damn it, Mark," Amanda told me one day while I was at her place fixing a crack in the driveway. "When are you coming back? Dude, it's insane, you know you should be with me. What can I do? I regret everything. Just tell me what I gotta do to make it right." I opened up to Amanda before saying, "I know you feel bad, and so do I. But the truth is, we're not getting back together. You gotta move on and find someone else." For instance, Amanda rolled her eyes and said, "I work at a salon with a bunch of gay hairdressers. Most of my clients are ex-wives. She looked down and added, I never thought I'd end up being one of them. I ain't saying nothing to them, just grabbed my tools and got to work. Come on, Mark, Amanda pleaded. You can give me another shot, just forgive and forget. Think of the boys, we need to be together for the holidays. Fine, Amanda, you're forgiven. You had plenty of chances over the years that you didn't take. But forgetting ain't gonna happen, I said, shaking my head. The holidays are coming, the boys will be back from school and we can do dinners at your place and Katie's on alternate days. So, like, Amanda was all with the kids, right? She crossed her arms like she was all defiant and stuff, saying she ain't gonna put up with that in her house. And she's never gonna set foot in her house again. I just shrugged, thinking we'll miss her. I thought the holidays would be all awkward for the kids, what with their parents living in different places now and all. But turns out, they handled it all cool. I guess that's good, but man, don't their generation give a damn. The boys had to go to 2 dinners each so they wouldn't upset anyone. By Christmas, the kids finally convinced Amanda to come over to Katie's house for a quick visit. Katie really wanted her to stay, but no luck. Katie told me she's cool with Amanda and doesn't mind me hanging out there to fix stuff or do stuff with my boys and Amanda. They'll probably never be as tight as they used to be, but Amanda has been more friendly towards Katie lately. After a year of marriage, I couldn't be happier. This ain't so bad. Man, remember that crazy love we had when we were young? Now it's all about a mature love, full of affection and respect. But then Katie hit me with the question about making it official. She held my face and said, "You're amazing and I want to be with you forever, but I promised myself I'd only get married once." I hope you get it. Honestly, I couldn't wrap my head around it. But then I remembered my dad's advice, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So yeah, hit that subscribe button for more content. Make sure your second partner doesn't betray you and keep listening because the next story is way juicier. Trust me, it's nothing compared to what's coming up. And if you're not old enough, don't even try to hear the next one.